Hello and warm welcome to today's session. Let's start. Today's topic is advanced attacks on Active Directory. Why I've chosen the topic Active Directory? That's a good question, because you hardly won't find any enterprise currently that is not using Windows Active Directory. And everyone takes Active Directory for granted. You are a small company, 40 people, you've got 1-2 domain controllers, and you don't pay too much attention about their configuration. You're a big enterprise with 80,000 employees or more. You just install more domain controllers, but the good question is, do you pay much more attention how you set them up? And do you understand how actually the protocols and design of Active Directory can work in your favor or against you, depending what you are trying to do? So let's start. Let me just take the PowerPoint, and at the beginning I would like to recap some Active Directory fundamentals. It is quite important to know them. You don't need to be a person who has a lot of experience with Active Directory to be able to attack. No, but I think it's much better if you understand the basics. So instead of just typing the commands of one particular attack, you understand what is going on behind the scenes. All of you probably knows that Active Directory is presented to us as a hierarchical database. So you can open Active Directory, users and computers, and we've got something that is similar to a tree structures with a lot of containers and other objects. So it's very similar to how the data is stored on our file system. Okay, we've got folders, we've got files, and we've got subfolders. In Active Directory, each entry is referred to as an object, and we divide those objects into just two categories. We've got containers and we've got non-containers, which usually we say they are leaf nodes. So, for instance, organizational unit is a container because it can contain another objects of different types. Organizational unit can contain users, can contain another organizational unit, can contain printer, and so on. So I think so far everything is quite easy to follow. If not, someone has small experience with Active Directory, maybe they work on a completely different system for managing their identity, just open in the labs Active Directory users and computers and review the basic structure. But although our Active Directory database is presented to us as a form of hierarchy, actually this is a standard database. So for people who come from relational databases background, it's quite easy to understand how data is structured. It's just a set of several tables, and that's it. This directory is stored in extensible storage engine, EC database file, exactly the same storage format as Exchange databases. This information is important if you would like to read the database on your own. Microsoft doesn't support any tools that allows us to browse Active Directory database and its DD file. but you can write your own. There are several libraries that allow you to connect to EC database and dump the contents of it, and it will be presented during one of the demonstrations. So, as you can see, at the top of our Active Directory domain, for now it's a single domain, we've got directory components. So my core dot com would be directory components, and below we defined organizational units like finance, sales. In sales, we've got another organizational units that contain user, computers, groups, and so on. With all those objects, there is one more very important thing to remember. Every object has an associated ACL. Actually, this ACL contains from two other objects. The ACL, which defines our permissions on an object, and SACL, which defines auditing configuration. The part with system ACL, so auditing information, is important for people who try to defend and detect attacks. For others, the ACL is something more interesting. Okay, so let's move a little bit forward. What you should also know regarding Active Directory. Every object in Active Directory has globally unique identifier called GUID, which is, we can say in simplification, guaranteed to be unique. So the likelihood of duplicate GUID is very, very small, almost never can happen. This is important from the perspective of how Active Directory exchange information during the replication. We, as a human, as a people who try to manage Active Directory, who try to attack it, we don't use generally GUID because those things are not human-friendly form. But in the background, Active Directory is actually using those GUIDs. What we are using is a distinguished name. This is the most common for us. So like on the slide presented at the bottom, a user John Doe would have a canonical name John Doe, then comma, OU, so organizational unit would be employees, and then domain components, secure, and the last domain component, lab. Pretty straightforward. When I'm using distinguished name, although I don't see here a graphical representation of John Doe, I can easily imagine the structure. So John Doe user account is placed in organizational unit employees, which is created under secure lab. What is important about this GUID is that GUID is created for an object when an object is created in an Active Directory. And GUID is preserved if you move an object between domains within multi-domain forest. Also, GUID will be preserved, obviously, if you move an object within one domain, for instance, two different organizational units. And I would like you to memorize this one, because distinguished name, when you move an object, will be changed. Okay. So, two things to memorize. GUID added to an object during the creation, and will be with this object unchanged until we decide to delete an object. If you move an object, rename an object, GUID stays the same. On contrary to distinguished names, which can be changed if we are going to move an object. Okay. Another important thing. Every Active Directory logical structure is built around the concept of domains. At a minimum, we have several things that exist in every Active Directory implementation in the world. X500 based hierarchical structure of containers and objects, and DNS domain name as unique identifier for our objects, and it's impossible to have Active Directory without DNS system. Generally, for years right now, when you install Active Directory, Windows operating system will install also domain name server with it. Obviously, there are ways to deploy it differently, so you can place the DNS on separate server and so on, but generally DNS will be a part of your Active Directory. A security service, which Mike was talking about on Tuesday, which is responsible for authentication and authorization of any access to resources. The accounts that we have in our current Active Directory, but also by the accounts that exist with other Active Directories that we trust. Okay, so generally, in my personal opinion, when you create an Active Directory inside your company, you should have a single domain and put all the resources there. I don't like a huge domain tree. I think it complicates the administration. Once I would put all production resources in single domain, I would create a red forest for secure administration, and maybe I would move public key infrastructure also to completely separate forest. Why it is important, we'll talk about it a little bit later. The last thing that exists in every Active Directory is a set of policies that dictate how functionality is restricted for users and machines in this domain. So what are policies? Group policy objects. So let's move a little bit. This is one Active Directory forest. mycorp.com is a forest root domain, and it has 3 child domains: Asia, Europe, and Americas. Because those domains lays inside a single forest, they've got transitive trust. Okay, and this will be quite important later on when we'll be discussing the security of trust. But if you see a big Active Directory forest, be aware that compromising a single domain inside this forest can lead to a compromise of the entire forest. This is something to take from this slide. Another option for trust is that we can define a trust within a domain that is located in completely another Active Directory forest, as demonstrated here. mycorp.com domain has defined a trust with othercorp.com. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about database, because during this session we'll be stealing Active Directory ntds.dit file, which is directory information tree, and we'll be using the data located inside. We'll use a tool for that, but I would like you to understand how the data is defined there. We've got just really several tables in Active Directory database. We've got a data table, a hidden table, link table, and security descriptor table. Okay, so maybe let's start with hidden table, because this is how Active Directory start process looks like. The hidden table is a single row table that Active Directory is using to start up a domain controller. The data put inside hidden table allows Active Directory domain controller to locate configuration data in data table. Okay, pretty straightforward. Data table contains information of all our objects inside Active Directory. Link table is responsible for storing the data for linked attributes. Okay, I know that it's not the best wording, but I will tell you the most common link attribute in Active Directory: group membership. Okay, this is managed by a linked table. And finally, we've got security descriptor table, which was introduced in Active Directory 2003. And in this table, we keep ACLs, so access control list, related to Active Directory objects, and also their checksums, which is important for replication process. Before Windows 2003, ACLs were stored in data table. Okay, what is the structure? Oh, and I have to mention, obviously, for those who didn't work with Active Directory, that ntds.dit file obviously exists on all domain controllers, and it is almost the same. So the next slide will show you something different, because people are saying, oh, ntds.dit is always the same on every domain controller. No, it isn't. As you can see, this is a sample of a data table. There are two columns, DNT and PDNT. And DNT is called distinguished name tag. And this is a unique number which is never reused. And this number is unique only on one domain controller. So the same object, for instance, Christian user on a Christian user for domain controller 01 can have DNT of 2022. The same user account on domain controller DC02 can have DNT of 3040. Okay, something to be aware. PDNT, this is just a parent DNT, so we can easily and fast build hierarchical representation of Active Directory. You've also got ancestors column that is used for exactly the same purpose, and all other fields are attributes of Active Directory object. Obviously, attributes will be different depending on Active Directory class of an object. So different for user, different for in-network person, different for computer account. Now, link table. Okay, this is how we manage group membership. As you can see, let's take Brian Desmond with DNT 2601 and parent DNT 5504. As you can see, backlink DNT and link DNT easily point out that Brian Desmond is domain admin. Okay, and that's enough of the theory. I know that it's a little bit boring, but sometimes in your life, I hope that it would be helpful for you to be able to better understand it. Okay, attacking Active Directory. What is an advanced Active Directory attack? It's not an attack that is technically complicated. No. This is not a zero-day attack. No. Advanced Active Directory attack is using the least privileged account to obtain as much information from Active Directory as possible using the standard tools. Why using the standard tools and standard protocols? Because I would like to avoid detection. Okay? It's not a problem to build a tool which uses 10,000 LDAP queries within 60 seconds. Then if you've got an IDS system, you will just raise hundreds of alerts in your security operation center. The same goes to becoming domain admin. Too fast. Do I always want to be domain admin? No. Why would I? Quite often it's not beneficial for me. So, the first thing, start checking your Active Directory during pen test if you are a member of Blue Team by assessing what type of information can be accessed by your users with no privileges. Okay, this is for me important. I work a lot with financial institutions and their policy for sharing information with external consultants by default is no. You have to review it on site. And then I'm spending time and explaining, hey guys, all the information I'm asking are accessible for everyone in this company. So even the lowest pay grade employee who has access to Active Directory because he has user account there, so he's a member of domain users can get them. Okay, and this is what I would like to demonstrate now. And also don't start your penetration test with pass the hash, pass the ticket, or something like this. First, try to analyze your infrastructure and then try to execute a better prepared attack for identity that is more interesting for you. Okay. Also, I will try to rely as much as possible on built-in tools within Windows operating systems, because in my opinion, in majority of cases, it is enough. Okay. WMI. Everyone knows WMI. It exists in Windows system starting from Windows 98 or 95. I'm not 100% sure. So over 20 years. I would like to get a list of all users in your Active Directory. How I can do it? The answer is simple. Win32 user account. It can give me information about username, seed, password expires, logout account. Let's see how it works. Okay. Yep. 1 second. My mouse should be here. I'm logging as Peter Parker, but I didn't become Spider-Man yet. So let me prove it. Am I all? Whoops. As you can see, I'm just a domain user, no special groups, nothing. Okay, so let's see. Okay, the query is quite long. Kill it. Get WMI object win32 user account. I filtered out local accounts, as I told you I'm interested only in Active Directory accounts. Okay. And this is a list of all accounts within this Active Directory with all the information that is available for me in Win32 user account WMI class. So account type, name, description, seed type, status, and so on. Also information about password expiration. Okay, so if I've got information about the password expiration, the perfect candidate for a password attack, maybe those attacks are not the most clever and intelligent, but still quite often they work, would be to create a report of all user accounts with password number expires. Quite a few, this is a test system. As you can see, a bunch of them returned. Okay. Anything special I had to do? Nope, nothing. Everything built in. I use PowerShell for that because it's easier for you to read, but you can use command line, WMA C. You can use also Excel for that if you want. Excel can invoke WMI without any problems using macros. You can use Visual Basic script for that. What else we've got? We've got LDAP, the standard protocol for playing with Active Directory database. Actually, Active Directory database is built on top of LDAP standard. Why LDAP is so nice to use? Because it's almost undetectable. If you work in big enough corporation, you can try to capture all the traffic of LDAP queries to your Active Directory, and you will see that tons of applications just connecting to Active Directory to retrieve some user properties, maybe computer properties, and a bunch of other stuff. Using LDAP also gives me the ability to construct my own set of queries. I'm not the biggest fan of LDAP queries. I don't like the syntax, but still I feel that you should learn it. Okay, this is just a small slide what you can use in LDAP queries. You've got standard operators, equal, less than, or equal to, greater than, or equal to. Not, I would warn you about not if your Active Directory is big enough. So although a lot of attributes are indexed, you can hit the performance problems. And of course, you've got Boolean operators. Okay, like and or not. Let me show you how you can query for a list of computer accounts. Very simple. Every object in Active Directory has its class. For computer account, it will be called computer. Then we defined where we would like to start our search. Okay, I decided to go with a root, secure lab. Then we define a scope. You can have subtree, so everything will be searched, one level, or base. Simple stuff. Then we define Active Directory searcher, assign filter, and that's it. Let me just print out the results. Okay, as you can easily see, all information returned here. Oh, sorry, this is actually my searcher for user. So you don't have to play. Let me just hit it one more time. Result. Yep. Now it's presented nicely. No more need for you to play with Nmap to scan whole subnets. No. Never do that. You've got some access to Active Directory, even as the most simplistic user you can imagine. Use it. You've got a list of targets. End of story. You want to display properties? You can do that. Everything is located under properties. You want to be smarter and use filters? Okay. So this is a small example how we can use filters. And filter. Object class is user, name administrator. Please be aware that this is LDAP syntax. Normally in programming languages, we would write something like this. Give me a second to copy it. So something like this would be more normal, or something like this. But in LDAP query syntax, it looks like this. Nothing special, you just put the operator on the left side of the expression. So let's check if this works fine. Should be fine. Okay, we've got administrator account. And I could display again all the properties of this account. Now, I would like to use a small thing that a lot of companies implemented. In Active Directory, on user objects, they are putting department names. And usually I'm quite interested in IT department. Those accounts should have usually better privileges than standard users. Also, a good target for me would be developer accounts. So maybe we've got some dev department, programming department, do a small query and check. Okay, and as you can see, I was able to identify 3 objects. Administrator, because I searched using the name, and 2 guys from IT department, help desk and bad guy. Okay, so this Active Directory probably was compromised before. Okay, what else do we have? Let me show you this one. Some are protocol. This is a very old protocol, but still in use, and still it's considered a standard protocol for Active Directory operation. Built-in tools that are using some R protocol are available on every workstation. This is a set of net commands. So probably you saw before net user, net group, and all other. Those commands are quite neat because they can be used in reconnaissance phase, but they can also be used for creating accounts, creating groups, adding user accounts to groups, changing user accounts properties. So let me just quickly show you one. Okay, net group, domain admins, domain. I'm on Windows 10 machine. Every user can do it. And I've got a list of your domain administrators. Okay, so another tool available for us. Next tool, NL test. Probably you also heard about it. And this is used for troubleshooting usually workstations. Quite interesting stuff. How quickly I can get all domain controllers in a domain being just a Peter Parker. Okay, like this, by executing this command. Please be aware of colon at the end. I've got just one domain controller here, as you can see, and this is a PDC, obviously. If I'm interested about getting info about trusts, just do like this, no trust in this Active Directory. Okay. What else can be done? AD Explorer. It's a part of sysinternals toolkit. It is signed by MS, which means that in majority of companies, every user would be allowed to run it. And it has several neat features. Let me show you that. This tool is a little bit less known. Again, the same host, the same users without privileges. I will use my current credentials. And connect to domain controller. Bam. Okay. This is what every user can see in your Active Directory. Okay. Your organizational unit structure, objects within containers, majority of object properties, like for instance, security, attributes. Okay, UI is not perfect, but as you can see, every Active Directory attribute is shown here. What else? Users can review your schema if they are interested. Maybe you've created something for one of the applications and maybe they would be able to abuse it. It was a case, for instance, some time ago with one of the one-time password providers that it relied on attribute for a mobile phone number and users were allowed to modify it. So you can try to search for such things by reviewing your Active Directory database. What else? Domain DNS zones. Microsoft DNS, Secure Lab. It seems like my domain. Okay. I've got access to all information that are in my DNS. So next time, before you run DNS enum and you create a ton of network traffic, or you will try to hunt for a server name, maybe just open Active Directory Explorer and read the server names, because those are provided for you within Active Directory for free. Okay, so this is something I would like to point out to you, that a lot of people are using a lot of tools. Yeah, it looks a little bit like Etsy edit, but it works on a guy who has no permissions and I can review a lot of things. But yeah, It's not nice graphical thing. But what is also interesting here is that I can create a snapshot of it. File, create snapshot. Okay. I will name it Christian Snap 2. It takes a second, but it shouldn't take more than 1 minute or 2. So it's not a large file. I've created one yesterday, so it's not a big deal if it takes a second. Bam. And we've got it. Now you can take this file home and review. Okay, and this is what your employees can do. Can you defend against such form of information and disclosure? This is the one from today. No, you don't. And I'm showing you that just because I would like you to understand what is available for you, and it doesn't matter if you are an attacker or a defender of Active Directory. I can limit slightly several things, like for instance blocking not authenticated SAM requests with GPO. With WMI, I can't do too much, to be honest, unless I want to play with WMI database permissions. But I want you to be aware of this thing, okay? And people are talking about GDPR testing private information. If you put private information here in Active Directory, one employee can just take a snapshot of this Active Directory and get access to all other employees' private information. So please just be aware of that. It's quite funny. Especially that because everyone thinks that it's impossible and it's so well protected. But this is done by design. So it's not a bug you can't report it to Microsoft. Please correct it. No. Active Directory is expected to work like this. So we can also go much more further. Things like GP result. Let's check the policies. And usually during the penetration test, we combine several commands. So you can grab all the details. Okay, domain type, domain name, and so on. OS version of your workstation. You're interested in Active Directory subnets? Someone created in Active Directory sites and services. Here you go. One PowerShell query, no authentic. No, standard domain user. A list of domain computers using some R protocol. Why not? You can just play with those free tools. So some R toolkit, LDAP, and the standard PowerShell to get almost all information. And I would like you to prepare something similar to that as your homework. This is another example showing properties of a single server. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of information, like for instance operating system, and obviously you can limit what you put inside user accounts, but things like operating system description is put inside Active Directory database by default. Okay, so I will have access to this information, you like it or not, unless you decided to clear it. Another interesting thing that we can do, we can check for computers with registered SPS. Why? Because it means that something that is using Kerberos, some service, is running on those computers. And as you can see, here we've got SQL 01 server with register service principal name. All, at least in theory, privileged objects would have admin count equals one flag set. So this is an attribute in Active Directory, also done automatically. It's not 100% accurate check, but it will give me a list of interesting accounts. Okay, and those that are belonging to some privileged groups. So Tom would be interesting, Jordan, AT, MSSec, why not? I've got a bunch of potential accounts that I would like to attack. And some other things that we can do. Like this one. This query allows me to find a computer. In this case, this is a SQL server. We can recognize it by reading SPN information and port information. And we'll use this information later on to perform Kerberos-Link attack on this account. Okay, so all those was nice, I think, but you don't have to write everything on your own. There are tools that combine such queries. I just want to show you that it is possible to write your own on your own, and probably it is better because it's hard to blacklist your custom scripts. So, but some executable can be easily not allowed to run on my system by using AppLocker, for instance. Pink Castle is one of such tools. There is a community edition. It's a tool that can quickly assess the security of your Active Directory. And even if you're an attacker, it's a useful tool to have in your arsenal because it will execute a bunch of queries and security checks on your behalf on unprivileged user account. So you don't have to be even local administrator on a computer. Standard user will do the job. Also, quite interesting is mapping Active Directory environment, which we will also use later. This is, I think, a little bit less known attack that relies on misconfiguration of delegation. What Pink Castle checks? Things like state objects, privileged accounts, trusts, and anomalies. For instance, you don't back up your database. Maybe you've got some old authentication protocols available. Maybe there is something wrong with your object configuration. Maybe something is wrong with provisioning of accounts and so on. It's a bunch of checks. Let me demonstrate how it works. Going here. And we do just Pink Castle, nothing more. You just hit enter, enter. It's the easiest mode, but it will give us several interesting things. Okay, it's finished. This is a small Active Directory, so please be aware that if you are running Pink Castle, it can take a while if your environment is bigger. Bam. Okay. Tools. pink castle, please. Up. And date modified. We'll see if it's displayed correctly in Edge. Yes, it is. Okay. As you can see, this is the default configuration of Active Directory, so nothing was specially crafted for this presentation. It's Windows Server 2016 with almost all the patches. Domain risk level was assessed by this tool, and obviously it's a tool uh, written by Vincent, a guy who is helping Benjamin, who wrote Mimikatz with some extensions to Mimikatz. So those are very valid security researchers. So it would be good if we hear them and would really take their judgment to the heart and analyze it a little bit. So what are the problems in my Active Directory? Stale object. Okay, so I've got some user computer objects that I'm not using. This can seem like a backdoor for an attacker. Okay, I've got too many privileged accounts when compared to number of my objects inside Active Directory. Yes, I'm using those virtual machines for testings and for checking if I can become domain administrator. For trust, perfect score. I don't have any trust here. And I've got some anomalies. So this is general 4 categories of risk assessment. What is being checked? State objects, privilege accounts, trusts, anomalies. And what is nice about this tool, for both sides, red and blue team, you can see that you've got a rule that was matched. So something is against the best practice, and you've got a description. So again, you don't have to read 20 books about Active Directory to use this tool for both purposes. For instance, here it's written that non-admin users can add computer accounts. Subnet declaration is incomplete. Why? Because I've got defined only one subnet, but my domain controller has several network interfaces. That wasn't too useful, but this one is. Samba version 1 is active on my domain controller. Maybe this is something I can use. Mike showed you an attack based on networking. So with Samba version 1 activated on domain controller, even on Windows Server 2016, you could replay this attack. Privilege accounts. The group schema admins is not empty. Oh, that's bad. That should be one of the first things you are going to do in Active Directory. Okay. Presence of service accounts in domain groups. Okay. And you even have information why this tool is treating this as a rule. So this is based on STIG, which is Ministry of Defense in United States recommendation, and so on. Okay, password never expires on 20 objects, and you've got a list of those objects. So for attacker, I don't have to write my own LDAP query. I can just use this tool, and it will be easier for me. But this is not all. The real strength. This is nice, but I could recreate it on my own with my custom PowerShell scripts. It's nothing too complicated. But there is one other thing that I really like to show you. It's called the feature auto reports. And did I misspell it? auto. Reports. Should be fine, I think. Let me double check. Typos are my nightmare. Server. Yep. Minus advanced report. Advanced reports. It's annoying. Not going to do it. Okay, copy paste would be a better option. I don't have luck today with typing. Not advanced export. Advanced report. I'm going to be mad. Minus node. No, I don't want to specify a server. Name equals Bob. Okay, I will check this version. This is quite new one. I was able to generate those one yesterday, so I will show you the one I ran yesterday as a preparation. So those are HTML web pages generated by this tool, and let me open them on my machine because Edge doesn't like them. But let me go with here. I should have one. Just ready for you. Perfect. And as you can see, this is our mapped Active Directory. Okay. This is something that I would have problem with recreating using my PowerShell scripts. Okay, this tool is also using LDAP to get this one, but it's quite cleverly coded. And what is interesting here is that we can see how I can become a domain admin. Okay, you have to find domain admins. You've got account operators here. Here we've got domain admins. Let me move it a little bit. Maybe it will be better visible. So, okay, I can become user MSSec. I can become user Cairo. I can be a member of enterprise admins, and I can obviously modify the membership on the domain admins. I can also be a member of administrators. Okay, built-in administrators. I can modify domain admins. So far, so good. Everything looks standard, except one thing. This one looks a little bit strange. We've got a user called Bob that lives in user's container. He has access to organizational unit called Berlin. Okay. And he also has access to Tom user, who is a user defined inside organizational unit Berlin. If the permissions are right, Bob, who is not a domain admin, can do something bad on Tom user account or maybe on some other accounts inside Berlin OU. So just to put it in perspective, how it looks like, I will go to domain controller just to show you what is being mapped here. Where is my mouse? Please. Okay, we've got my mouse. So we've got Berlin organizational unit, properties, security, and as you can see, we've got Bob. Bob is a user with some permissions here, special permissions, so we can review them. Okay, list contents, read properties. We will also have some permissions for creating and resetting user passwords. Okay, so okay, this is standard help desk employee with some permissions to organizational unit called Berlin. Nothing to worry about, but please note it because I will be using that later on. Okay, so this is one of the tools I wanted to show you. Another tool that works on very similar principle of mapping your Active Directory security relations that are really hard to gather around if you are Active Directory administrator or even a penetration tester, because you would have to dump all security defined on organizational units and users and analyze it manually, which is a tedious task. You can use either their ping castle or Bloodhound. Bloodhound relies on Neo4j database, which is free download. However, it requires you to install Neo4j database server. Because of that, if you can bring for a penetration test your own notebook, then go for it and install either on Windows or Linux. However, if you compromise the one machine, maybe don't install Bloodhound there, because a new service can be easily detected. It listens on standard TCP/IP port. Bloodhound is great, especially for much bigger environments, because it's very fast and also you can query the objects. In Ping Castle, as I showed you, you can just review it manually. In Bloodhound, you really have a query language and you can type it. So definitely a great tool for defenders. Okay. Another type of attack, I think the most common, so I will show you that, is pass the hash. Okay. Why I'm showing that? Because people ignored all possible defenses against pass the hash. So, for instance, we can run LSA double S process as a protected process. Okay, that's the first thing we can do. You are running older operating system, you can still disable W digest authentication, so you won't have clear text passwords in LSA double S memory space. I'm showing that for several years right now, and it's improving, but still there are people who don't defend against pass the hash. The best defense, in my opinion, is to deploy credential guard. That's the first thing. The second thing would be to not to give Ordinary users administrator privileges, problem generally solved. The third potential defense, firewalls, firewalls, firewalls. Minimize the possibility for lateral movement. Okay, labs is a good solution, but I will show you another situation. Okay, so just to review past the hash. An attacker compromised a single machine. Pretty straightforward. And now he can, for instance, every 30 minutes, every 1 hour, dump the credentials of LSA memory space. Once they grab the credentials, they can try using those credentials on other hosts. Once they found a host that those credentials can be used, they can dump memory space on this host to get even more credentials, and so on and so on. So as the end result, sooner or later they will find a domain admin account, okay, or maybe another privileged account. Okay, pretty straightforward technique. So let's go to the demonstration. So the situation can be like this. So Fred laptop compromised. He's a local admin. Attacker is using the hash of local administrator to pass the hash to another laptop, SU laptops. And from SU laptops, the malware can reach the file server. Simple, plain attack. But let's do something different. Let's assume that I will grab for start credentials. Oops, sorry. Of domain account. Again, Windows 10 machine. I will start command line as administrator. Who am I? It should be okay. Typos are quite often for me today, but let's try to do it correctly this time. So, pum, 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 pum. We'll start Mimikatz. For this attack, because I will show you some other attacks using Mimikatz, I need to enable privilege debug. But please bear in mind that, for instance, if you're going to play with Kerberos tickets, you don't need to run privilege debug command. Okay, it is required only for certain things. And also, if someone enabled in Active Directory, advanced auditing configuration, the usage of sensitive privileges, this is something how they can catch you. For pass the hash, I don't have any options. I will define a log C, AWSC 2019 txt secure LSA logo passwords. Okay, I will disable log notepad AWSC 2019. My bad. I didn't switch off Mimikatz. So I will keep the session open. There, I will just open using Windows Explorer. Come on, please. Oh, and I've got a user help desk. Okay, and for that situation, labs won't solve you a problem. I'm going to pass the hash of domain user. So let me just copy this hash. And from my before demonstration, I know that I've got server 1, which is potentially interesting for me. There is a SQL server running there. So maybe someone more privileged than me is also there. So secure LSA, pass the hash. Then we've got user help desk, domain secure lab, NTLM CMD. Okay. Whom I will still show you Christian, but I should be help desk. So let's do tools ps exec cmd. Okay, let me try to connect to server 01. It will take a second because the service is being created in the background. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, we are still waiting. And hopefully yes or no. It seems to be up and running. Hostname server 01. Okay. So let's do something else. I will execute Mimikatz on the systems. I've already placed the Mimikatz here because I don't want to waste your time. But generally, I could just easily copy. I was able to create a service, so copying files is not a problem. Mimikatz. And trunk, it would be x64 mimikatz.exe. No typos, please. Helpdesk user is a local administrator on the system, so I should be able, again, to activate debug privilege. Once we've got it, let me dump the passwords. Don't do it like this. Log C AWS C 2019 02.txt secure LSA logon passwords. Okay. Log null. Okay, the file name is AWSC 2019-02. Let's exit. I could obviously try to attack something directly from server 1, but I'm not going to because it could reveal the location of an attacker, in that case me. So it's much better to use this compromised Windows 10 machine to perform an attack. If someone detects it, I just lost one Windows client that I've already compromised, so it's a pretty good chance that I'm able to compromise several other Windows 10 clients in this network. So let me copy AWSC 2019 02 txt on C AWSC 2019 02 txt. one file copy, notepad, bam. What we have here? Interesting, secure, interactive, not interesting. SQL Server, not interesting for now. Maybe I've got some administrator account. Okay. NTLM hash is different, but not a big deal. Administrator has a different password than helpdesk user, so let me copy this one. And let me exit. And I will do a small trick. Bum, 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 bum. New hash and new user. Administrator, secure lab, NTLM seems to be fine. Who am I? Okay, secure Christian again, but let's see, can I access domain controller? No, I can. So let me try to create a user in domain. Net user, AWSC, 2019, with a very complicated password. Always use it. Add domain. Okay, nice. Let me allow user AWSC to become a domain administrator. Domain admin, admins, AWSC 2019, at domain. Okay, so let's go to domain controller. And okay, we've got our user, member of domain admins. Okay, and now you can do a lot of very bad and strange things to someone's active directory. Okay, lapse in this situation is not a solution for you. I exploited a user account. So for defenses, tier administration. Definitely it is a solution for you. And hopefully we'll discuss it in another module during this course. But not today. Today I would like to focus more on bad things we can do within our Active Directory. Another thing that we can do is an attack called Kerberosting. Using the scripts I demonstrated before, I showed you that on server 1, we've got a SQL server running. Okay, and I've got an SPN register, which means that we are doing Kerberos authentication there. Okay, Mike give you a lot of details on Tuesday about Kerberos. So I will show you today one thing, how Kerberos authentication can be abused slightly. Okay, it shouldn't be too complicated. And again, you don't need to have any rights for that. Okay, let me just close it. I don't need it. I don't need also that. Yep. And CMD for now I'm going to close to clean it up a little bit. Bum, bum. Now I would need, oh, come on, don't do it to me. Please give me PowerShell IC. How I love this UI. Come on, please start. What is going on here? Better? Loading, okay? So, okay. We are almost good to go. Let me open prepared script. Actually, I will open those two. The first one, you've already saw a variation of it, is just searching for accounts with registered SPN using Active Directory Searcher. Nothing too complicated. Okay, I've got all the information here. Now, what I'm going to do is to request a Kerberos ticket. Okay, every user can do it. It is a standard procedure, like I would be trying to authenticate to this SQL Server machine. So let me just hit like this. F8. Okay. Now, these tickets that I have requested are encrypted with SQL service password. Okay, so I will try to make it more clear how the setup looks like. Server 1, please, and services. I should have it open. Okay, as you can see, my SQL Server is running in the context of secure SVC SQL. Okay, this is standard user account because I set up it on purpose, but we should always use group managed service accounts. To render that type of attack, impossible. But I didn't, and a lot of companies also don't do it. Okay, we've got the tickets. So let me open CMD. Oops, not this machine. 1 second. Give me my mouse, please. Standard CMD, no admin permissions. I will open Mimikatz, but I'm going to open Mimikatz just because it's easier to operate. I could write the same code in PowerShell. So, cd tools, Mimikatz, x64. Maybe I will do something like this. So it will be a little bit cleaner. Okay. Kerberos list. Let's check my tickets. Oh, wow. Quite a lot of them. Okay, but there is one I'm interested with. Okay, Christian, SQL Server, perfect. So I'm going to export them. Let me just open them. Tools. Mimikatz. Export. Okay. We are interested in this particular ticket, and this is For a normal attack, this is end of operation you are doing in your victim's infrastructure. You take this ticket with you and you try to break it at home, okay? So don't perform Kerberosting inside the organization you are trying to attack because there is no need. So it's much better to do it offsite. And so we are going to break this password. Okay, and for that, I'm going to use Kerberosting toolkit. Come on, please. Okay. There is a Python script. This is an open source tool. You can download it from GitHub. No issues here. This tool is using a word list. So obviously you can generate a word list of all possible combination of a service password. Can be very large. I'm lazy, so I've whoops. So I've decided to create just a word list with 3 words. Bam. Word list. And finally, I'm going to provide a path to the ticket. And we're going to wait a little bit. And if I didn't make, oh, I'm a moron. I'm a moron. It should be SQL Server ticket. And I provided a one for DC1. It's SQL Server is 1 and not 4. Bam. Now it should be much better. At least I hope so. Okay, much better. As I told you, we've got clear text password. Okay, it's not an intelligent attack. It relies on the fact that the ticket I exported is encrypted with the password of service account. Okay, I was able to brute force using a word list, so to break this password using a word list, and this password for SVC SQL account I can use until someone decides to change it. And trust me, for service accounts, people don't change the passwords for ages. Okay, so this is quite interesting attack. Also, once you've got this password, you can start playing with silver tickets. But I was showing on some webinars several times silver tickets. So today, later on, I'm going to show you a golden ticket. But this is completely valid method of getting all the information you require for generating a silver ticket. Okay, let's move back for a second to the presentation. Okay, I'm using delegation flow. I showed you pin castle, block count, you can write custom scripts, whatever you want. And there are some situations where you can find that a simple guy like Bob, the employee of help desk, can have some power over organizational units. Okay, this is a common situation in a lot of companies. Once we find it, sometimes we can try to attack immediately, depends on the setup. Sometimes we have to wait until something strange will happen. So using pin castle, I was able to find an interesting organizational unit called Berlin. okay, which can be managed by Bob. So right now, as Bob, I at this internet will have some power over those users, okay? But there is one security feature built in into Active Directory for protected users and group called admin count. It means that it stops propagation, so inheritance of access control list. Okay, so right now, even if we would have access as Bob to this organizational unit, we won't be able to modify Tom's user account, who is a member of domain admins. This is where actually it pays to be patient, because if we have one user who is a privileged user in this organizational unit, probably we can wait a little bit also for the next one. Let me log off and I will use this computer as Bob. Simply sign out. Obviously, please remember that admin count is only for protected users and groups. So if you've got other custom-made privileged groups inside your Active Directory, this protection won't work for you. So let me just log in as Bob. Come on, log in other user. Bob. So definitely analyzing the permissions graph in your Active Directory is something you should do. And because this type, oh, Bob is not here. Let me use another account. I think it will be faster. Another machine. Log off. Pam. From this machine. Okay. Come on, please sign me out. Bob has a profile here, so it should be faster. Okay. Oh, come on. Pam. Bob. Password. Come on, Bob. The help desk guy. Move. Move. People are waiting for you. He's lazy. I think the lunch wasn't good today for Bob. But I will tell you what I'm going to demonstrate and we'll see if it works. As we established, Bob can manage Berlin organizational unit. Once we know that, we can, after we compromise the Bob account using, for instance, pass the hash technique, a perfect technique for beginning our attack, because sometimes we can wait and wait and we don't get better user account as help desk user. So also with help desk users, we can do something really neat. And I'm going to show you that. Come on. Open Active Directory users and computers, please. Don't search the web, just open. Once you compromise using pass the hash Bob's account, you have to wait for a situation where, for instance, a domain admin will create a new user here, like for instance, okay, admin, admin. Hopefully I don't have one. Password. That should be fine. Where is my Bob user account? Server one. We don't need anymore. And this one. Okay. Perfect. And let me add domain admins, for instance. Bam, bam. What can be done here? Bob can reset a password. Okay, and let me reset the password. Password reset. Okay, and now Bob can become a domain admin by just running run as. Okay, command prompt, run as user secure. Okay, admin cmd. I'm providing a reset password. If I did everything correct, it should work. Ta-da! Who am I? Okay, admin. Let me display groups. Okay, I'm domain admin. So just to prove it, I can create a new user, net user. Let me be octopus with some password. Add domain, done, net group, domain admins. Okay, that's fine. And we have got it. Okay, so resetting the password is quite neat attack. Now, okay, everyone should ask me, okay, but kadmin will detect that this password was changed. Yes and no. Because right now I am domain admin. So what I can do? I can reset the password. I don't know the previous password, but I will use the password hash. So let's open Mimikatz to do that. Mimikatz trunk x64. Okay, LSA dump this time. So I will ask domain controller, hey domain controller, I'm your colleague, because DC sync means I'm saying to domain controller, I'm another domain controller. I will ask for password hash of user kadmin in domain secure lab. Quite a lot of information. Okay, as you can see, this is the previous password. This is the current one. Okay, I've got password history. This is how checking if users didn't reuse their passwords work. Being a domain admin, I can get this information. Let's say dump set ntlm user admin, and here I would need to provide server dc01 secure lab ntlm tram. Okay, end of story. Admin won't detect it. I just modify his password to be the previous one. So pretty neat attack. Obviously, please bear in mind that it works only until admin count is 1. Okay, once it's being set, then it won't work. But sometimes we've got luck, and attackers can be really persistent and patient. So it's good to know that things like that exist. Okay, so let me just exit. Oops, I did. I will exit also this one because this is running as kadmin. Hop. And we can check if the new password will work. If I'm not going to make a typo, ta-da, it works. So resetting works perfectly fine. Obviously, to be able to reset, you need to be domain admin, but please be aware, I started as a help desk guy, which by mistake had some access to organizational unit with domain admins, okay? Then I became domain admin. I was able to do all the nasty stuff as kadmin, and finally I just reset the password back. Okay. Now, I would like to show you, okay, because we don't have too much time, 2 more attacks. Pass the ticket and golden ticket. So this is one attack I'm going to speak about. Pass the ticket works very, very similar to pass the hash. The only difference is that I'm not passing the hash of a password. I'm passing Kerberos ticket, which is also stored in LSA-SS memory space, which means that with Mimikatz, I can dump it, or I can write a tool similar to Mimikatz to do the same. And this works fine. But once I've got the ability to become a domain admin, okay? So I'm this guy. Not here. Where is my mouse? Admin. Okay, domain admin. I've got an ability to generate a golden ticket, and golden tickets are so much better. They're like pure gold. Why? Because they allow me to create persistence inside your Active Directory. By default, they are valid for 10 years, but you can modify the time life of those tickets without any issue. They can be exported and imported on another system, so you can easily reuse them. In my personal opinion, very hard to detect. Yes, obviously you can define monitoring, but for me personally, the best known detection is Microsoft ATA, Advanced Threat Analytics. Because with just combining auditing logs, it can be too much. Once attacker has a golden ticket, they can do whatever they want inside your Active Directory. This is something that gives them limitless possibilities to create different backdoors and different persistence, use different persistence methods. There is only one known defense, is to reset KRB TGT account password twice. And some people, security researchers, started to recommend resetting KRB TGT account password twice every 40 days or every 50 days. The general idea, maybe it's not bad, but I think in bigger organization it can be a problem sometimes because it invalidates all Kerberos tickets, so it's not something you can implement easily, in my opinion. Okay, you can test it, but I would like to warn you that you will have some problems with resetting KRB TGT account password twice. It's important to note that by default, KRB TGT account password is almost never changed. As far as I recall, there was only one change once you move of this password. Once you moved between Windows Server 2003 and 2008. Okay, you will move domain functional level up. Right now, even during upgrades of domain functional level, KRB TGT account password stays exactly the same. Generated during the installation, never change. Great victim for attacker. As I see that someone suggests changing all the passwords, rebooting and so on. Yes, but in enterprises with more than 8,000 servers, it's not something you can do easily every 30 days, like changing user account password. So there are some implications. Unfortunately, if you've got 5 servers, then yes, probably you can do it during the evening. But all other is it's not easy, trust me. Let me just go here to tools. Let me open Mimikatz again. Let me. Okay, my ticket is empty. Just want to verify that. 64. Mimikatz. And double check Kerberos tickets that I've got. Kerberos list, empty, cool. Let's say dump. DC sync domain secure.lab. This time user will be KRB TGT. Okay, got it. And that's all. Okay, I need from here, I just need to find my mouse, please. I'm going to copy NTLM hash. Okay, I'm going to put it in a text document. that I've already got prepared because the command for generation of golden ticket is far from nice. Tools. And today I don't have luck. I've got this command or I don't have it. Yep. Pom, pom, pom. So this is what I've copied. So everything is fine. Now, I'm going to exit Mimikatz. Exit being kadmin. And I'm Bob here. Okay, so this small help desk guy, no privileges, almost no. Okay, I've got a bunch of Kerberos tickets and I'm going to remove them. Perfect. Open Mimikatz again. x64 Mimikatz. Nice. And what we are going to do? We're going to generate golden ticket. We'll provide a username that doesn't exist, Bob the Builder. We provide ID 500, so admin account, KRB TGT and TLM hash, groups, so domain user, domain admins, and so on. Seed of a domain that you can easily obtain by running whoami or through LDAP or WMI. I showed you several methods today. A domain, and PTT means pass the ticket directly to LSA memory space. Bam. Okay. Perfect. Kerberos list. Please check the date. It is valid till 2028. Okay, so 10 years. Oh, let me exit. Double proof that I've got this ticket. Cool. And let me try to add another domain account. Domain user R2D2. Net group domain admins. R2D2. End of story. And this is Bob. I would also like you to take a look. I didn't use any privilege debug. This is standard command prompt. I'm not running as an administrator. For playing with Kerberos tickets, you don't need to be an administrator. Okay? That is something I would like you to remember. Just to prove that it worked, let me find R2D2. Come on, R2D2. Member of. Okay, domain admins. The ticket obviously can be also exported if you want. The only thing that is different is that pass the ticket is being replaced with ticket forged. Kirby, whatever name you like. It can be Christian and it, or XY2. So I will just show you that this command works. I will copy paste this one quickly. Mimikatz exe should be fine. Okay, ticket exported, exit dir. Okay, as you can see, everything is fine. Okay. And with this ticket, you can have a lot of play. But why it works? Because it leverages the lack of validation on the Kerberos authentication protocol. Okay, so Microsoft decided to implement some shortcuts to make authentication protocol more effective. So they don't authenticate every request correctly. So whatever you've got ticket granting ticket in your current session will be considered trusted for Kerberos. Okay, and this is how it works. Please bear in mind that also Kerberos is not the newest protocol. It's much better than NTLM, but it's still not in something we should use in 21st century. Okay, maybe in the beginning, but right now, definitely I think we can do a little bit better. The last attack I would like to talk about is an attack on virtualization fabric. I would like to talk about it because a lot of people are running domain controllers on virtualization platforms and they don't realize what can happen. There are potentially two actors that have access to all your secrets in Active Directory. A storage administrator, so a guy who is responsible for your storage arrays and so on. Why? Because a virtual machine has a virtual hard drive, which is just a flat file laying somewhere on one of the clones. He can copy this virtual hard drive, take it home, and try to attack your Active Directory at the leisure of his home. The second potential attacker is virtualization infrastructure administrator. So a guy who manages your Hyper-V, your VMware, maybe your OpenStack, or maybe you're on KVM from Red Hat. It works exactly the same on all virtualization platforms. Okay, so let me quickly demonstrate this attack. Give me a second, please. See. Okay, this is how virtual machines are seen by storage administrators, Hyper-V administrators. Okay, so they can steal the hard drive, and the virtual hard drive can be copied even if virtual machine is running, so there is no protection here. Double click at their computer. This is very complicated attack, as you can see. Double clicking, pure rocket science, I would say. And what they've got access to your Active Directory database, which is located here. Okay, what can be done with that? If you give me 3 more minutes, I will show you. Yep, I just need my PowerShell. Please give me my PowerShell. Okay, oh, wow. Okay, This one is using module written by one of our colleagues, Michael Grafnetter. I will quickly show you what I can do. Hashes in Active Directory are encrypted, but the encryption key is stored in registry Hive. Okay, I just mounted the whole hard drive, so I've got access to registry Hive. What the hell? That I run PowerShell as not an administrator. Stupid Christian. Pum, pum, pum. This will take me a second. Run as administrator. Let me just quickly check. Yep. Perfect. Okay, so we've got the boot key, okay, from mounted virtual hard drive. Now, let me get all the hashes. And all your secrets are mine. Okay, so I was showing you that the hashes are important. They can be used in pass the hash, they can be used in pass the ticket, and also resetting the history of passwords. And with a single command, just mounting virtual hard drive, all the hashes are dumped here. End of story. So obviously you can also filter. If we are interested only in KRBT GT account, it should work fine. Exactly. And with this account, then just go back to your company as storage administrator, for instance, and create golden ticket and be happy. Okay, so those things can be done. If you want to format them nicely, no problem. This should work fine. Nicely formatted hashes ready to be used with pass the hash attack for you. Okay, so I think this sums up today's module. I hope you like it. The presentation will be available tomorrow. And also the homework, as I told you, the homework will be about getting as much information as possible from Active Directory database. So if you've got any questions that Michael didn't address on the chat, I'm going to do that right now. Let me just quickly grab the chat. Whoops, not so easy. Thank you guys for attending. Yes, DC Shadow. Actually, I was going to talk about DC Shadow, but the time didn't permit me to do so. Maybe next time. Just please don't be scared about DC Shadow. If you don't have Active Directory domain trust, nothing bad will happen. If you've got Active Directory trust, then actually DC Shadow can happen to you. But the prerequisite for an attacker when we're talking about DC Shadow is that I've got domain admin on at least one of the domains in your forest. Okay, so until you've already lost one of your Active Directories domains, DC shadow is not dangerous for you. Also, please bear in mind that with DC shadow, this is a functionality of Active Directory. It's not something that Microsoft will patch. Why? Because in DC shadow attack, what an attacker does. Let me quickly tell you that. I've created a rook domain controller. To be able to do it, I need to have access to configuration partition inside Active Directory. Generally, I need to be a domain admin. The next thing is I'm starting a module that will allow other domain controllers to speak with me. This is a well-defined API that is being implemented by all Active Directory domain controllers. It's published by Microsoft, and this is what Benjamin implemented in Mimikatz. Once we've got those two things up and running, we are creating a change, like modifying a seed history attribute. And we are pushing this change to other domain, because other domain controllers thinks that we are a nice domain controller, then they are modifying their attributes. That's it. So it's something more of a functionality, and someone just figure out that it can be used for bad purposes. If I've got a chance during one of the next modules, maybe we can go back to DC Shadow Attack. So thank you for today. I hope you like it. If you've got any more questions, let me just quickly grab the chat. Yes, PowerShell scripts would be also available next to the presentation for you to download. So why you see WDigest enabled in live domains, people don't patch them. Starting from Windows 10, WDigest is disabled by default. So as you saw, when I dump all the credentials using Mimikatz, I was using Windows 10, almost fully patched. I didn't saw any WDigest. So this is a default configuration of Windows 10. Okay, this is okay. I think all questions answered. So once again, thank you for today, and I hope we'll meet again during one of the next modules. Thank you.